I'm delighted to be introducing this final fireside chat session of the day. We have two just amazing speakers to conclude our conversations today. So we've already heard from the Honourable Clare Martorana, the Federal Chief Information Officer at the Office for Management and Budget, and I said that Clare would be coming back, so it's great to have you back. And I know you've been here throughout the day, Clare, and have managed to speak to a lot of people. And Clare is now joined by the Honourable Harry Coker, who is the National Cyber Director based at the White House here in the United States. And when I knew I was moderating the whole event, I was very excited about this, but I have to say that this session, I was a bit starstruck and I was a bit overawed, so I might be a bit nervous in this session.
I'm nervous around Clare as well. She's a star.
So Clare, I will come back to you. Picking up on that first question that we started off the day, we began the day with cybersecurity and we're ending the day with cybersecurity. Has this theme come out as much as you wanted, and is this still as important to you as ever?
Yeah, thanks, Siobhan. And it's just a thrill to be here with Harry. And, you know, we are really a team across government. All of our colleagues, both in cybersecurity, certainly, but also all of you in digital experience are part of this team. And one of the reasons that we wanted to be really thoughtful and deliberate about this, I often go to security conferences. I'm very fortunate. I go to RSA, or I get to go to DEF CON and Black Hat, and I don't often see my digital experience colleagues there. I see all of my cyber colleagues there. But when I was in the private sector, my security team, we were one team. We didn't differentiate between user researchers and site reliability engineers. We were all on the same team. So it has just struck me in my time in government that we shouldn't be separate, that we should be thinking about, you know, certainly the threat landscape, but the opportunities for us to deliver a simple, seamless, and secure experience to the public because of that. So you can tell I'm Italian. I use my hands a lot. But it's really important to me. And I'd like to give one other example. If those of you that were here earlier and you had the opportunity to hear from Paula Scheer, I have been really focused on brand. And the reason I'm focused on brand is there are enormous opportunities when you go search for anything trying to get to a federal service. And you go on Google and you search, and you will be intercepted 5 times by any of the search results that are asking you for $9.95 to submit your passport for you or to do some interaction for you. And when I look at all of our digital ecosystem, we don't have consistent visual signals to the public to tell them that they're transiting from one place to another, that it's safe and secure. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I've learned so much from my cyber colleagues about how we need to be educating the public about how they interact with digital properties, certainly how they interact with government properties. But I was with 2 user groups of college kids. And if any of you have ever used this app called Air Now, it's brilliant. It's tells you about, shout out.
Big shout out for Air Now.
It is brilliant. It's just a super easy interface to tell you about the air quality in your area. And I asked these kids, what apps you use? And they were like, oh, we love this Air Now thing. It was during the wildfires. And I was like, tell me about this app. And they were like, yeah, it's this really cool app. I said, who made it? They're like, EPA. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Who's EPA? They're like, we don't know who EPA is. It's EPA, I don't know, it's some company, probably in Silicon Valley, that's doing this really cool interface. It's the Environmental Protection Agency. Like, it's right? Those are your tax dollars that helped build that, right? But these kids don't know how good you are. Right? And I'm so committed to being able to tell that story about these incredible federal teams that are building this really cool technology, and that we are as competitive with Silicon Valley in some of these circumstances, but we, A, don't show it, so that is why brand to me is so incredibly important, and B, we aren't securing it. with the back-end monitoring and all of the telemetry that is needed for us to continue to keep the American public safe and secure. So that is why I am so passionate about cybersecurity, and I'm so passionate about partnering with my colleagues at the Office of the National Cyber Director so that we can continue to be champions for all of you to be able to get the resources and the support that we all need in federal agencies to do this job brilliantly.
Thanks, Claire. So, I mean, Harry, you can tell Claire's passion there, and she obviously is really keen to work very closely with you and your office. But your office, then, I'm doing my background, is a relative newbie, so it's quite a new startup compared to Claire's office. So the office itself was established in 2021, and then you've been the second National Cyber Director since December last year. So what are your reflections in kind of your first few months in the role? Has anything surprised you, and how do you see yourself working with other departments like Claire's and other agencies?
Yeah, great, thank you. And glad to be here with you all, but with our partner, and thank you for hosting us. The office is relatively new. Congress passed the law that established the office in 2021, and it stood up literally as an office of one with the inaugural National Cyber Director, Chris Inglis. And from that office of one, it built up to roughly 90 people right now. It is the second newest office in the Executive Office of the President, and OMB is one of the legacy offices that's been around quite some time. It's great that we partner with OMB. And we have to in order to execute our mission. Our tasking is to be the principal advisor to the President on cybersecurity strategy and policy, and also to work towards federal coherence in the cybersecurity ecosystem. So that coherence part means partner. And it's a great opportunity to partner with OMB, amongst others. We also partner with the National Security Council, CISA, FBI, NSA, and on and on and on. And I will include, we partner with our allies as well. A couple of the things that I found very favorable. Number one, there is universal knowledge within our cybersecurity stakeholders in the federal government side that we cannot be successful without a public-private partnership. That's different than when I grew up in uniform in the Navy. If you were in a uniform, you were the only one out there on the front lines fighting. Private sector might build systems, but they weren't operating them on the front line. That's different with cybersecurity. We have to partner with the private sector in order to be successful, and we have to partner across the federal ecosystem in order to be successful. The three guiding lights for ONCD are people, the public, and partners. And again, we have a strong partner, so strong that actually when my initial predecessor, Chris Inglis, was standing up the office, it was Claire who had the brilliant idea of dual hatting one of her folks to serve in our office while serving in OMB, and it was to enhance the collaboration. Keys to partnership are trust, not only in one's character and integrity, but also in the competence, and that dual hat enhances both demonstration of the competence and the integrity and character, so it yields strong and effective partnerships. I'll also add, being a new component, again, the second newest component in the EOP, it's important for us to demonstrate our value every day. We need to be institutionalized, and that can be a bad word, but it's not in this case. We need our partners to know that we can contribute to the mission, and we don't care who is leading in terms of formal authority. If an entity can only lead with formal authority, I frankly doubt their ability to lead. So we lead via collaboration. That's why we're here, and that's why we partner every day.
Fantastic. So, and Claire, building on that, so am I right in thinking that one of your office's statutory responsibilities is the development of cybersecurity policy? So what does that look like in terms of that collaboration then when you're working with the Cyber Directors team?
Yeah, I guess I'll take the example of Executive Order 14028 to improve the nation's cybersecurity. An executive order is written collaboratively across the executive branch and the interagency so that we get the right feedback from the ecosystem and that we're meeting the intent, commander's intent from the president. And in that case, that is the North Star and the vision, right, of what we are going to accomplish as a nation. And then we, in the Office of the Federal CIO, by statute, we write the guidance for federal agencies to make sure that federal agencies are able to move out on the mission, accomplish the goals. And that takes a couple different, it takes a few different pieces to put that together. But for 14028, for example, we worked, even though the office was new, and was growing up, we recognized that there are areas under the remit of the National Cyber Director's Office that are extended out into economic sectors that we might not be thinking about in the Office of the Federal CIO for the federal ecosystem, right? I don't deal as much with biological and chemical weapons, for example, or telecom connectivity across the country. But the National Cyber Strategy, which was a follow-on strategic document, is thinking about all of those 16 economic sectors, I believe there's 16, that are, we have to partner with effectively, both for the federal government to operate, but also for our nation to operate, right? To make sure that the infrastructure across our country is resilient. And we wind up having to work together because we have federal agencies like the State Department that is doing brilliant work internationally, like the Department of Energy that is doing both international and domestic work. So the federal ecosystem is just fascinating, right? The scope and the depth and the breadth, right? I think Mina Shung from USDS says sometimes, like, we're a bank, like we are all of these things rolled into one in the federal ecosystem. So our office is focused on supporting federal agencies, but in this larger ecosystem that the Office of the National Cyber Director is impacting.
So you've both talked then about some of those themes that have come up today, so the importance of collaboration, of working together across the boundaries. One of the other big issues that came up in a lot of the sessions was that of skills and talent. And in a world where cyber issues are changing so quickly, do we in the public sector have the people who understand that and can meet those challenges? So I just welcome your thoughts. I'll start with you, Harry, on how do you look to recruiting in the right people, to skilling up the right people? What's the kind of strategy for that across government?
Great. Thank you. We actually stood up a workforce team and delivered a national cyber workforce and education strategy that addresses this critical aspect. You know, we talk about these 16 critical infrastructure sectors. Well, talent is critical as well. And a conservative number, there are roughly 500,000 open cyber jobs in the U.S., millions when you look across the globe. And that $500,000 open cyber jobs is growing 8 to 12% every year. Whatever we've been doing in the past has not been sufficient. So a few things that we're working with our partners at OMB and with the Office of Personnel Management include pivoting towards skills-based hiring. And I need to be clear, because I get in trouble sometimes when I mention that. We should not have a minimum qualification requirement of a 4-year degree for cybersecurity. That should not be the minimum requirement. 4-year degrees are great. I need to be explicit about that. But we need to have skills-based hiring, knowledge-based hiring. That's a challenge, but it's a challenge that we are making progress on, again, with our OMB and OPM partners. There's no regulation or law that mandates this 4-year degree requirement. So with our partners, again, we are meeting with acquisition executives at the U.S. departments and agencies to making sure that they understand that that requirement is a legacy worst practice, and we need to take that on. So that's for contractors supporting federal contracts. We're also working again with those same partners on taking a look at that for federal positions as well. That's a tough task. It's a heavy lift, but it's worth it. So we're doing that. My first trip in this job was to the Community College of Baltimore County, an exceptional 2-year school with programs that train and develop folks. I almost said young folks, but it doesn't matter. One of the things in our National Cyber Workforce and Education strategy is lifelong learning. But at CCBC, for example, they're getting folks ready to contribute to cybersecurity without a 4-year degree. Yesterday, I was at Rhode Island College in Providence, talking about a similar issue, the workforce. They're doing great things there. And as an example, something that they're working on is having a SOC at the university with 2 cyber ranges. They're working on it. It's not there right now. But how that fits with workforce is that conceivably would allow college students to get real-world experience, relevant experience in a SOC or a cyber range. So when they decide to leave college, short of 4 years or with their 4-year degree, unlike me, they'll be able to put on their resume relevant experience that matters to, in this case, cybersecurity employers. So that's key, leveraging folks, giving them the opportunity to get experience as early as possible.
I love that. So really broadening that, fantastic. Making that recruitment process as inclusive as possible and seeking out talent wherever it may come from and basing it on skills and experience. Claire, your thoughts on the skills issue and talent?
I think it's incredibly supportive of this work, and this strategy is absolutely critical for us to meet the speed of need, both for the federal government and across the country in general. I also think it's something that we have learned really well in the digital ecosystem, kind of everything from DevSecOps to, user researchers and, product managers, kind of the entire ecosystem of people that I tend to work with more closely. It's skills-based, right? It is about the skills that people have gained through their experience. Education is amazing. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to college, but college isn't for everyone. And community colleges have a huge role in our nation, and it's a 2-year degree, not a 4-year degree. So I think that this is an area that we have to continue to evolve. Also, as online education has changed people's opportunities and their opportunities to actually gain knowledge differently than maybe when I was growing up. So.
Yeah, I really like the phrase, Harry, that you said it's a legacy worst practice. We need to get rid of some of those. So I did mention to the audience before you both came on stage that we might have time for 1, maybe 2 questions. So I hope somebody, yes, gentleman there. And I did say no pressure. It had to be the best question of the whole event. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Lynn Darlington. I am the digital experience lead for U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, also commonly known as EPA. Thank you for the shout out for Air Now. We're very proud of that. I've been saving this question, hoping that someone else might ask it so I wouldn't have to, but it looks like this is the last opportunity, and I'm really interested to know. So the last presidential election, there was quite a bit of controversy about the integrity of the data. And so with another election right around the corner, does the Office of the Federal CIO or other federal agencies, do you guys play a role in protecting the integrity of that data? And if so, what are you guys doing?
I think I can answer reflecting back on the conversation that we had this morning with Jen Easterly, right? CISA is playing an incredibly important role in election security. It is a cornerstone of the work that they do. and they have been, this has been continuous work through the past election, and it will continue through this election and further on. So I think that we can rest assured that we have organizations like CISA that are focusing on making sure that state and local governments have the tools and the support that they need to make sure that the data is protected, that they have, secure infrastructure. And I think Jen is really, and that entire team at CISA that is working on this, we should all be proud of the work that they're doing.
And I just want to foot stomp what Claire said, the state and local governments. It's the state, local, tribal, and territorial entities, SLTTs, that have the biggest role and responsibility in elections, to include local, state, and federal. So it's vital that the federal government support them, and CISA has that lead. But that is an area that concerns me, not necessarily just the elections, but support to our state, local, tribal, and territorial governments. When it comes to key infrastructure like elections and utilities, we've got these SLTTs, and I'm from a small rural town, taking on nation-state actors and other quite capable malicious actors. And these SLTTs, they're challenged to do that. It really is the epitome of an unfair fight. So that's why it's critical for this partnership and collaboration to support the SLTTs who are on the front lines of this fight.
Thank you, and I think it was a great question because it reminds us that when we're talking about cybersecurity, attacks come in all kinds of forms, and it also has the potential to undermine democratic processes. So thank you, really great question. We are almost out of time, but I did say to Claire and Harry in advance that I would ask them one final question, just to leave you really with some thoughts. So I think we've had a fantastic day. I think it's been brilliant to bring people together, not just from across kind of the American government, but also we've got fantastic international delegates here as well. So just a couple of thoughts from both of you on why are days like this so important, and in particular, why is it so important we learn from each other? You mentioned that at the beginning, from different countries as well. What do we share across different kind of country boundaries as well?
Real quickly, again, thanks for bringing us together, but real succinctly, when we have our foreign visitors come to the White House, number one, Claire and I always try to meet together when we can to show the unity of effort. But one of the key topics that most of them bring up is on regulatory harmonization, not just within the United States, but international. How can we work that to support multinational companies and our government? So that's a key area that we need to continue to work through.
Brilliant. Thank you, Harry.
I think the message I leave is a quote I heard recently that I continue to re-quote. None of us are as smart as all of us. It is going to take all of us working together, supporting each other to keep all of our systems secure and to develop those simple and seamless experiences for the American public. And sharing and learning from our international partners is absolutely critical. We're all walking the same paths. We're all dealing with the same adversaries. And we have this incredible opportunity to not only learn from each other, to do things like, fork the code that is being developed in the UK, utilize it in the United States from our trusted partners. So I just am so thrilled that the American federal workforce has had the opportunity to hear from these international partners, because a lot of times we talk to each other and talk in echo chambers, and hearing from these other partners, it has really inspired me. So I hope it's done the same for all of you.
Thank you so much, Claire. And please join me in giving Claire and Harry a really warm round of applause. Would you mind staying there for 1 minute while I just conclude?
Of course. And
Just from me, some final words. I really liked the way Claire put it there. None of us is as smart as all of us. And I'd like to say a big thank you on behalf of Global Government Forum again to all of our great speakers that we've had here today, to our really lovely exhibitors and our partners, our sponsors that we've had with us throughout the conference, but mostly to all of you. You've been a fantastic audience, really, really engaged, really asked some fantastic questions. And we mentioned all of those huge challenges facing the public sector, but I know with all the energy and the ideas that we shared in the room, I'm really confident that we will together be able to meet those challenges. The last thing is, I look forward to seeing you all again here next year when we talk all over again. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the day.
Thank you.